I'd like to say good evening to everybody. My name is retired Lieutenant James Berry. I'm one of your Masters of Ceremony today. We're here today to celebrate Black history here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for the first annual Police and Fire Department Black History Program. From the police department perspective, I was honored last year. I mentioned some things about the history that Black police officers went through here in Winston-Salem, not knowing that it was going to wind up on the front page of the journal the next day. So I won't repeat all the things that I said, but I give you an idea that in 1941 is when Winston-Salem hired its first Black police officer. When it came to the 1950s, there was another slew of Black officers that were hired. But again, what I said last year was it was a triumph, but there were some challenges that those officers faced. The first officer in 1941 didn't even get a uniform to wear like the other officers. In the 1950s, those officers got uniforms, but they were only allowed to work East Winston area of town. They weren't allowed to drive any of the police cars, and they weren't even allowed to arrest white individuals that violated the law. We came to the 1960s and 70s where things really began to change for Black police officers, where we began to get promoted, we began to get assigned to specialized units, special training, and they still face challenges because when they got promoted and had white officers working under them, those officers, some refused to even work for them. Others that worked for them did everything they could to undermine their authority and the job that they were doing. We launched into new eras where the 80s, the 90s, and now here we are in the year 2000, that we've got so many Black officers that are still contributing to the police department. And we're going to honor just a couple today because the struggle still goes on, but yet and still, we as Black individuals still do our part to contribute in the progression, in the protection, and in the well-being of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm gonna turn this over to Battalion Chief Frank Stowe, because he's gonna tell you a little bit about the fire department.
Good afternoon. And he's already given you my name, and I know my name, and then you know my name, so I don't have to say it again. An organization of African American firefighters was formed in 1888 or around 1889 called North Carolina Colored Volunteer Firemen's Association. This group supported the efforts of similar firefighters throughout the state. Winston hosted many tournaments and conventions. Records show they did so in 1897, 1906, and 1910. Newspaper accounts of colored firefighter conventions indicate Winston had one or more African American fire companies by 1896 and until at least 1907. Winston merged with Salem in 1913, and the fire department was fully paid by 1923. The reports are slim as to the names and the persons involved in these early companies. One of these companies from Winston, named the Hook and Ladder Company, attended the 1896 convention in Wilson, North Carolina. The best accounts as to the names of these early pioneer groups are Winston Red Hot Hose Reel Company, Slater Hose Reel Company, Columbia Heights Hose Reel Company, and Winston Colored Hook and Ladder. The only names found that were involved in the above companies were Tom Dooley, T.H. Harrison, J.C. Laddie, J.J. Swepson, and Sam Tolliver. On March 1st, 1951, the city hired and trained its first integrated fire company. During the training of these new additions, white as well as African American firefighters worked, slept, and trained together. The first to be hired were Raphael Black, Willie Carter, Lester Irvin, John Henry Ford, Robert Greer, John Meredith, George Penn, and John Thomas. And they were housed at Engine Company Number 4, which was on Dunleaf Avenue. In 1957, with the opening of Engine Company 8, an additional 14 were hired, 6 of whom were dedicated firefighters, and the others were both police officers and firefighters. That was our old PSO program. The police firefighters were dual role that worked on beats until an alarm came in. This program was suspended in the fall of 1987. Then, on July 21st, 1980, Lester E. Irvin was promoted to fire chief, making him the first African-American fire chief in the state. Chief Irvin was also one of the original 8 firefighters hired in 1951 to form the city's first integrated firehouse. We will now have our invocation by Reverend Dr. Sir Walter Mack, followed by a welcome and proclamation by our Mayor, Alan Jones, and a choir selection by Union Baptist Church. Thank you.
May we all bow in prayer. O Lord our God, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. The heavens declare your glory. The firmament shows forth your handiwork. And for that reason we say thank you. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us this far along the way, thou who by thy might hast led us into the light, keep us forever in thy path, we pray. God, we thank you for this momentous and special occasion, this occasion in which we come to celebrate those who have given their life to serve and to sacrifice their life for others. God, we thank you for this noble task and this call for which you have given unto us. And we just pause out of our busy schedules for a moment to remember, to reflect, and to say thank you. God, we ask that as we gather on today, that we remember those who have served down through the years. We remember names that have made contributions to the history of this world. God, we remember those African Americans who made tremendous contributions. God, we thank you for people like Benjamin Banneker, the alarm clock, and Jan Matzlinger, shoe lasting machine, and Lewis Latimer, the light filament. But more relevantly, God, we thank you for people like Lester Irvin. We thank you for people like Lillian Bonner, the first African-American police officer right here in this city. God, we thank you for history makers like Dr. Vivian Burke and so many others that are in our presence on today. Help us to ever be mindful of the fact that we're writing our own history and that we too have a place to serve. And we're minded of the words that come from Douglas Mallock that says, if we can't be a tree on top of a hill, we'll be a bush in the deep green valley. We'll be the best bush. If we can't be a highway, we'll be a trail. If we can't be the sun, we'll be a star. It's not by the size whether we win or fail, but that we be the best at whatever we are. We thank you for every police officer, for every fireman. We thank you for all of those who serve in this great city, and we praise you for that. In the name of our Lord, we do pray. Amen.
Good afternoon. It is so wonderful to have this opportunity, and I'm so pleased to follow one of my former students, Sir Walter Mack, the outstanding Sir Walter Mack, Jr. And the reason I say this is because there are so many children here, and pardon me, First Lady is here also of Union Baptist Church. I say this because it's good for children to see people who are small who can grow to be very, very fine and successful. And it is always an opportunity. He's a world-known person. It's not about him today, but I just want you to know how grateful I am of your accomplishments. And I say, crossing generations, his father worked closely with me, who was the pastor of Emmanuel Baptist Church, and the son decided to be a pastor also. Before I do this proclamation, I feel it's something I need to say. Not long ago, I was talking with the city manager about us trying to transform this community into a better place. And I also said that it took diversity, it took majorities and minorities to make a change with this public safety, police, and fire. And I want to tell you, Bill Stewart became a city manager, and a very fine chief of fire passed, Chief Bullard, that fire station downtown known from him. And I recommended that Mr. Lester Irvin be the chief for the fire department. That's why he got to be the chief. I was sitting at the right place. I also said to the city manager, I wondered why Mayor Corporation appointed me or nominated me to be the public safety chairman. That was 36 years ago. And then it was called to my attention that you do not talk loud, you carry yourself in such a fine way, and you're not carrying any baggage. So as public safety chair, Mayor Wayne Corporation and I talked, and this is what he said: I'm going to appoint a blue ribbon committee of some of your top people in this city. These were your business people, and they were mostly diverse, because he knew that they could take a stand. And they will make recommendations to your committee. And I want to tell you, when you look at the recommendations about the change of attitude and behavior, this is what we had to do. Blacks and whites not getting along, calling each other names, being rude and disrespectful. So what did I do? When Mr. Stewart called me, I was out of town. He says, I'm going to hire Lucius Powell to be the chief. What about that? I say, he'll be your chief. That's what I tell them every time they discuss who they're going to put in places. I say, he'll be yours. One thing about Mr. Lucius Powell, when you heard someone start talking about how people started getting promotions, when Mr. Lucius Powell, the chief, and I talked, I told him that minorities can think. They need in positions. It's disrespectful to have them as police and not make them officers. And what did he do? He started working. We never would have had a black woman police chief. We never would have had some of those police black who were your officers, and maybe they got to be sergeants, but they didn't go much further. We wouldn't have had all those assistant chiefs we've had and those lieutenants. But it's because it takes all of us, not only the blacks by ourselves, but it takes majorities to work with us on a council. And I want to tell you, the change came. It didn't come easy. It didn't come easy. And we still have to make changes. But I thought, since you brought up the history, when you left here, was you Lieutenant or Captain Berry? Lieutenant Berry. He and I have a story to tell too. We'll keep that to ourselves. We'll keep it to ourselves. I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it. He was raised very well. He was hired to be a police. And he minded his business. He carried himself like a man. He didn't think it was interesting for blacks to be made a joke. Like some people can make a joke about us in these departments we work in. And then they put him on a list. They wanted to fire him. But I met with Mr. Stewart, and I said, he will not be fired. You bring in the chief, because he hasn't done anything but mind his business. I've told those stories to our city manager. We talk all the time about changes, but since a little history was brought up, I thought I had a little conversation with Chief Roundtree. I've had a conversation with him. Because if we're a diverse community, we cannot, and city manager, I want you to hear this too, we cannot have all blacks or all whites in top positions. And it doesn't look good. And when you look at our police department, it's going back. Just look. I like them all. I like them all. But look at facts. Look at facts. That's all you have to do. Just look. Now, I wasn't supposed to be here today, and some of them are saying, I wish he had stayed home. But you have to hear the truth. And I don't quite understand why we have a capable public safety chair. He could have carried it all out. I don't need to be here, but I'm going to do what they asked me to do. Last night, Mr. McNeil said that the mayor was going to be here. When he first talked with me, he said the mayor wasn't going to be here. So I agreed to come to bring remarks. Well, my job is to read the proclamation from the office of the mayor. And Mayor Allen Jones would like all of you to know that as the mayor of a city, he cannot say it's a good city unless we include all and respect diversity. So who am I to present this proclamation to? Who's been getting the proclamation? I'll take it. You'll take it, okay. Maybe you better let that, since it's both of y'all, right?
We'll both take it.
All right, then. City of Winston-Salem Proclamation, Office of the Mayor. Whereas, having united as one, we see the results of black men and women's advocacy for respect, dignity, and human rights. And whereas these efforts have advanced our common well-being and strengthened our communities and the fabric of our entire nation in the world. And whereas we celebrate black men and women locally, nationally, and globally, who have advanced the rights of minorities and all humanity. And whereas we salute African American men and women who have paved the way for minorities to entrust with the Winston-Salem Police Department and the Winston-Salem Fire Department shields of honor, respect, and integrity. Whereas February 2014 is the first annual Winston-Salem Police and Fire Department's Joint Public Safety Black History Month celebration. Now, therefore, speaking for Allen Jones, Mayor of the City of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim the month of February as Public Safety Black History Month in the City of Winston-Salem, and call upon all of our citizens to observe and commemorate Public Safety Black History Month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities to recognize the contributions of African American police officers and firemen of the Winston-Salem, our nation, and the world. It's given under his hand and seal the 16th day of February, 2014. And I present to you this in behalf of the mayor and to the elected officials, because we do work together for progress in this community.
I'm honored to introduce Brother James Taylor, who is the City Council representative of the Southeast Ward, to give a special presentation today for someone that's present today in our assembly. Mr. Taylor.
Good afternoon. Before I say anything, please join me in giving the Union Baptist Choir another round of applause. Thank you. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Winston-Salem City Council. I also bring you greetings on behalf of the Public Safety Committee for the City of Winston-Salem. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be standing before you today. Before I present this plaque, I do just want to say a couple of words. As I look over the audience, I see so many people. It makes me realize that I truly stand on the shoulders of so many who have gone before me. And seeing so many pioneers and trailblazers that helped us to enjoy the quality of life that we enjoy today, I want to pause and just say thank you. Thank you for helping our city to be a better place to live, work, and relax. And we appreciate everything that you've done and everything that you've continued to do for our city. Speaking of which, I get the honor of presenting this plaque in honor of Black History Month to a particular young lady. And before I present this plaque, I just want to tell a quick story. In 2008, there were some folks who convinced me to run for city council. And during that time, I came to this young lady, and she didn't support me over another candidate, but I came to her and I said, look, the things that you read in your agenda books, I'd like to take a look at that. And every city council meeting from 2008, early in 2008 to 2009, she allowed me to have her agenda book so that I could be a little bit more knowledgeable about what's going on in the city. She has been the public safety chairperson For the last 36 years, I'm talking about Dr. and Councilmember Vivian H. Burke. And I was introduced as chairman of public safety. And, you know, I can honestly say that Dr. Burke believes in supporting young people. Before this election, I was the vice chair of public safety. And you know what she did? She stepped down as chairman of public safety to allow me to lead. So I stand here as chairman of public safety because of the work that Dr. Burke, Councilman Burke, has put into our city. And today we just want to take a moment among all those who deserve honor and honor you at this particular time. This particular plaque is for Mayor Pro Temp Vivian H. Burke in recognition of 36 years of unwavering support and dedication, not only for myself, this isn't about me, but for all those trailblazers and pioneers that we discussed who help us to enjoy our quality of life, those firemen and those firewomen and those policemen and policewomen that we have here. To the citizens of Winston-Salem, also as chairperson of the Public Safety Committee, presented February the 16th, 2014. One more time, please join me in giving a thunderous round of applause to Councilmember Vivian H. Burke.
Thank you. I will say this, when I first met Councilmember Keller, and then I met his parents. They raised him well. And what I was impressed with was the way he was with his wife and then two little boys. There they are, they're always so manly and so polite. Then a little girl came along. And this says to me, a wonderful American family. And he's a role model, his family, for others to know that your children are important and you put them first, and then your family can develop and be productive. I thank you. As James said, I'm the mother of one son, but I claim all these people's children, and I'm grateful to God. And I don't care what color they are. They know I claim them. I believe in diversity because I work with many, many children across this community, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful. Thank you so much. It's not about me now. It's about other people. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Before we get into our special presentations on the police department side, what I want to do is take an opportunity to welcome all our police retirees. I see many of you sitting in the back, so if you would stand and be recognized. All police retirees. Jimmy, Chief Norris. Thank you for all your contributions and service to the citizens of Winston-Salem and also to the Winston-Salem Police Department. I also want to recognize all the present in-service employees of the police department. Thank you for being here and thank you for your continued service and support of this community. Next we'll have Assistant Chief Connie Southern. She'll come forward, followed by Assistant Chief Brian Blakely, and they will present special presentations to our police honorees for this event. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. I have the special honor and privilege to recognize retired Sergeant Jimmy L. Boyd. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jimmy Boyd. Jimmy is a native of Winston-Salem and has lived and worked in the city all his life. He is a graduate of Anderson High School and furthered his education through Winston-Salem State University and A&T State University. He is a veteran of the United States Army, where he received an honorable discharge, and he recently retired as a sergeant from the Winston-Salem Police Department after serving more than 28 years. Mr. Boyd attends Emmanuel Baptist Church, where he's a former teacher of the Youth Intermediate Sunday School class, and he is the past president of the Laymen's League. He is a member of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County High School Sports Hall of Fame, 1992, and he is a former coach of the Tiny Vikings Pop Warner football team, 1986 to 1995, the Twin City Little League baseball team, 1986 to 1994, and the Glenn High School Junior Varsity basketball team, 1990 to 1991. Currently, he is a member of the National American Legion Post, the Masonic Temple, the Winston-Salem Sportsman Club, Special Promoters Club, and a former task officer member of the Multi-Hazard Emergency Planning Team for the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. He has received numerous awards, including the Achievement Award honoring Outstanding Citizens of Winston-Salem, 1993, and was an Outstanding Citizen Volunteer Award nominee. He has worked with the Governor's Advocacy Council for Persons with Disability and the Mayor's Violence Reduction Task Force, 1993. Jimmy Boyd is currently a state certified Northwest basketball official, where he has served as a former vice president of the local basketball officials association. He is also a member of the State Amateur Softball Umpires Association, North Carolina Athletic Association High School certified basketball official, and North Carolina High School Athletics Association Girls Fast Pitch Umpire, and North Carolina Certified Volleyball Official, State Certified Notary Public, and former owner of Boyd Bell Bonding Company. Additionally, he is a member and past president of the local chapter of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County North State Law Enforcement Officer Association, past president of the Forsyth County branch of the NAACP, past member of the North Carolina Police Executives Association, and a lifetime member of the state charter of North State Law Enforcement Officers Association, board member of the Walltown Business Association, Coalition of Drug Abuse and Prevention, 2009 to present, second vice chairman of the Forsyth County Democratic Party, and currently 2012 to 2013, vice commissioner of Northwest Midget Pop Warner Football League. In 2005, Mr. Boyd ran an unsuccessful campaign for city council where he only lost by 2 votes. And I just want to say personally that I'm almost done. This is everything on the paper, but I just want to say personally it is an honor and privilege to present this award to Jimmy Boyd. He's been an inspiration to me as I've come through the Winston-Salem Police Department, and was a great help to me, advocate, friend, and mentor as I started as a District 2 captain, where I was in charge of the easternmost portion of the city and also the southernmost most portion of the city. He helped me a lot, and so Jimmy, congratulations, and thank you very much for everything. This plaque real quickly. It says, in honor of Black History Month, the Winston-Salem Police Department honors Jimmy Boyd in grateful appreciation for your outstanding commitment and dedication to the city of Winston-Salem, February 16, 2014.
Thank you. Thank you.
First, I'm going to say good evening. Acknowledge the other honorees that are deserving for their awards. When Chief Sutton was saying this, I was saying, who in it? I've got kids in here. Who are they talking about? Before I get started on my speech, I need to say something. A very special friend of mine is here. And I remember during the early years when I came out of the service, I would walk in the streets of Winston-Salem aimlessly. And one of my friends picked me up, took me to his house, and fed me. When he came down the stairs, he had a police uniform on. And I want to thank him for saving my life. No other than Mr. Harrison Davis. I appreciate you, sir. It is a distinct honor and pleasure for me to stand here today on the shoulders of such great pioneers as Captain Johnny Landon, George Redd, Joe McFadden, Lillian Bonner, Ben Johnson, Roscoe Pouncer, Frank Holman, and O.D. Redd, who blazed the trail for me. I can never forget how I was drawn into the police department. It took about 50 pieces of baked beans, a hot dog, a cup of Tang, and a cup of pre-sweetened Kool-Aid. This was a cookout given by the police department to our Emerson High School football championship team, where we won the state championship. The police department at that time gave us a cookout at Reynolds Park Recreation Center in honor of our awards. I would never forget the display of kindness and generosity shown to us as young African-American inner-city youth during the civil rights movement and struggle. This kindness was unheard of. After the cookout, we were taken to Wake Forest University at Bonham Gray Stadium to see a football game. At halftime, the announcer recognized our high school, came over the PA system. We looked at one another because we never heard of this before. Someone taking the time to recognize an African-American team winning the state championship in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. When we came along during that struggle, it was said to us, there was nothing good to come out of the hood. I say to you today, look at me, folks, many of us have defied that challenge. We defied the challenge, and I said this to the kids. To one person, to the world, you are one person, but to the world, you are that person's world. What the police department did for me back there as a young African-American child, it stayed with me throughout my life. My initial inception at Neighborhood Teen Police in District 2, which is on the east side, I would never have made it without the guidance of those pioneers whose shoulders I sat upon. They taught me how to survive, and of course, where to eat. Not only was I taught about policy and procedure, general orders, laws of arrest, search and seizure, pursuit driving, but I was taught life skills such as never sacrifice your squad or men, never sacrifice your heart, never sacrifice your dignity, and never sacrifice your family. My on-the-job training, I learned the cops' philosophy of solving crimes by interacting with the kids in the community. There were certain things that were not taught or covered by the policy manual, such as sitting there and doing security check at Joe's Fine Food or the meat house on 5th Street to see who was ordering a bunch of meat, because you know there was going to be a party or cookout going on in your sector and we were going to get some food to eat. Being at the high rise at Sunrise Tower was very endearing to me because the resident oftentimes would wait for us to get off from work to sit and want to play checkers with us. Or they brought us some vegetables out of the garden. And at Christmas time, they brought us presents. So those are some of the things I miss about dear old District 2. Community policing, we took care of when driving through the area because someone came up with a bright idea to pass out swimming passes to the kids during the summer months. Almost every kid would run up to our police car to get swim passes to Bloom Park, 14th Street, Schuyler, and Winston Lake Swimming Pool. The gleam of these kids' faces and their eyes were priceless. Many of them never forgot about us. I'm working on Sunday. It was very endearing because the pioneers taught me, don't turn your siren on during church hours. From 10 to 2, I was very sacred driving the police car in East Winston. It was a divine intervention for us to recognize the church. After the church service was over with in the benediction, the siren began rolling again. As for my counterpart, the PSO program, the Public Safety Officer program, I learned such terminology as fire suppression, hose evolution, hydraulics, firefighters, engineer, dress out, and bat chief. Chief Farmer and my son David, you notice I did not mention the word hydrant wrench or whatchamacallit, because as a young black kid growing up in a black community without air conditioning, we found a way to turn on the water to stay cool during the long hot summer. My latter days, I never imagined I would live long enough to witness the swearing-in ceremony of not one, but 2 African-American police chiefs, not to mention an African-American president. There's something that was something I would never even thought of in my early days of my career. As for the kids' lives that I touched as an officer, They were many. Some refer to me as Coach Boyd, and they speak about Coach Boyd philosophies, such as a winner never quit and a quitter never wins. We can all sing together, but we cannot talk together. After more than 20 years, these kids continue to speak of life skills that I taught them as a student athlete, and they went on to live productive lives. Now for my biological kids, they too were taught life skills. For Philip and Chantel, I said, if you mess up, you clean up. Aaron, if you turn it on, you turn it off. Christy and Angel, if you put it down, you pick it up. Melissa and David, if you break it, you fix it. To all, if it's not yours, leave it alone. In closing, I feel fittingly to mention this. Harriet Tubman once said, when she was asked what the number of slaves that she freed, she said, I could have freed many more if only they knew they were slaves. I say, Mr. Moderator, my friend, James Berry, from old Stuart Buick building to PSOS, to neighborhood team police in District 1 and District 2, to the old Sears building, to PSO North, PSO South. We at District 2, we could have been promoted only if we knew that we were promotable. Thank y'all.
Good afternoon. Before I make my presentation, I looked to the back of the room, and I too was a part of the PSO program, and I looked to several firemen and police supervisors that I came behind, and I'd like to say thank you. You helped me along the way. I hope I did an okay job with that. My presentation is for the Winston-Salem State University Police Chief, Patricia D. Norris. Police Chief Patricia D. Norris is a lifelong resident of the Winston-Salem, North Carolina. She graduated from Reynolds High School in 1972 and received her Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration from Winston-Salem State University. She is a graduate of the Administrative Officers Management Program at North Carolina State University and a 1999 graduate of Leadership Winston-Salem. Chief Norris began working with the City of Winston-Salem in 1976 as an engineering aide in the city's traffic engineering department. In 1977, she was hired as a police officer trainee and subsequently rose through the ranks at the Winston-Salem Police Department to be sworn as Winston-Salem's 12th police chief, February 27, 2004. Throughout her tenure, Norris was assigned to the Patrol Division, the Criminal Investigations Division, the Professional Standards Division, and before being selected as police chief, served as the commander of the Field Services Bureau. She retired in June 2008 from the police department, but did not retire very long because in August 2008, she was hired as the Chief of Police, Director of Public Safety at Winston-Salem State University. Chief Norris has served on boards and committees to include the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club, Forsyth Futures, Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, Liberty Community Development Corporation, Communities and Schools of Forsyth County, the Executive Committee of Winston-Salem State University Center for Community Safety, the Northwest Chapter of American Red Cross, the Mediation Service of Forsyth County, and the Board of Directors of the Winston-Salem State University Foundation. She was the first woman and first African American to serve as the president of the North Carolina Association of Chiefs of Police. She is also a member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police and the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. Also, the North Carolina Police Executives Association. Chief Norris was a board member of the North Carolina Actual Innocence Commission at the appointment of North Carolina Chief Justice Beverly Lake. She is a member of the Governor's Crime Commission and a board member of the Winston-Salem State University Foundation. Chief Norris is married to Robert W. Norris. They have 4 children and 11 grandchildren. Chief Norris. read the plaque. In honor of Black History Month, the Winston-Salem Police Department honors Patricia D. Norris in grateful appreciation of your outstanding commitment and dedication to the city of Winston-Salem, February 16th, 2014.
I am is the shortest sentence in the English language. I am finished is what every audience would like to hear. So I promise you, you will hear I am finished real soon. First, I'd like to thank everybody at the front here for selecting me for this award. I really, really do appreciate it. I also like to thank all the people at the Winston-Salem Police Department for the shoulders that I was able to stand on, to learn from, and to grow there, to become chief there. Also the fire department, because I too was a public safety officer, and I learned a lot at the fire department as well. I have to tell you though, Chief Farmer, I was so happy when the city made the decision to split the two. I worked the hardest fire I did, and shortly after that, they decided that it would be no longer public safety, and I was really, really happy about that. So I want to thank everyone here. Jimmy, unlike you, I didn't have a big speech written out there, but I do appreciate this award, and I do appreciate people recognizing me for this award. There is one lady here, though, that I would like to give special recognition to. She's already been given a recognition this afternoon, but Ms. Burke, Councilwoman Burke, very instrumental in my career, and also helped me move through the department and become the city's 12th chief of police. My husband, my family have always been behind me, and I want to say thank you. Whenever I talk about him, I get like this. But I do want to say thank you to everybody, and I think it's time to hear those words now. I am finished. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon again to all of you. When I was asked to co-MC this program, my answer was yes. When I saw on the program that I am to introduce Chief Farmer, I consider it an honor. Chief Farmer and I, we go back before the fire department, and I truly consider him a friend. As I said, I consider it an honor to introduce him. Chief Farmer is a 1979 graduate of Winston-Salem State University. He started here with this fire department in 1983. What many of you don't know, and what many of you fail to recognize, is his compassion. And the most important thing that you fail to recognize sometimes is that compassion that drives him to do what he does for this department. I know, as I said, I knew him before this. And I just pray and hope that one day very soon, that you will see that it's that compassion that have kept many jobs. It's that compassion that have driven many promotions. As I said, it is an honor that at this time I introduce to some and present to others the Chief of the Winston-Salem Fire Department, Chief Anthony Farmer.
Good afternoon. Chief Frank Stowe is trying to make tears come out of my eyes, but I'm not going to let it happen today, but I appreciate that introduction, and thank you so much. Obviously, as you have heard today, there's a rich history of African Americans in the fire service. There were African Americans in the 1800s, African Americans in the 1900s, up to the integration of this department or this city in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I think you would agree with me that God allowed us to come a mighty, mighty long way. Can we give God a hand, please? The truth of the matter is, many people before us, after God influenced them, started to fight the battle. They were not only black, they were white also. And they worked hard to make this integration, this diversity that you see here today and that we're recognizing take place. So I'm appreciative of that, and I'm very thankful to God for what he's done for us. In this racist society, where segregation has done so much, you have to agree we've come a mighty, mighty long way. Now, our department is somewhat unique because we still have some of those trailblazers still here. And I don't see them today, but I have to mention their names. Out of those initial black firefighters that were hired, Chief Black, Captain Carter, Engineer Greer, and Roy Thomas are still living. They are living and walking history today. Are any of their family members here today? Please, let's give them a round of applause, please. This is girl right there. And I do have to mention them independently because they were in the group where they faced all the tyranny and all of the actions and all of the stuff that went on when racism played a huge role. And there was, when you talk about fear and guys striving to move on, they had to endure that. Now, will all the Winston-Salem retired firefighters please stand and be recognized, please? Thank you.
It's a distinct honor and privilege for me to be able to recognize my former battalion chief, Terry Carter. Terry Carter is a Winston-Salem native, but spent much of his youth between Winston-Salem and Detroit, Michigan. By high school, he had returned to Winston-Salem and received his diploma from West Forsyth High School. Terry went on to Winston-Salem State University, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology. As a young boy, Terry and his cousins would often visit his uncle Robert Carter at Old Station 4 on Dunleith Avenue to hang out with his uncle and the other firemen. These frequent visits would later prove to be an inspiration for Terry becoming a firefighter. In January 1983, Terry Carter officially began his career with the Winston-Salem Fire Department. He rose through the ranks, being promoted to fire engineer in June 1987, and then to captain in July 1993, to battalion chief in December 2000, and a district chief in December 2009, and then assistant chief in July 2010. Terry dedicated himself to a career that spanned over 30 years, and he just recently retired in December 2013. Mr. Carter is enjoying his retired life with his wife, Gwen Carter, and their two daughters, Bria and Jessica. Throughout Mr. Carter's career, he was involved in numerous emergency fire and rescue calls. He said that his proudest memory of his esteemed career is that everyone went home safely at the end of the shift. Mr. Carter answered the call of duty and served his community, and for this, the Winston-Salem Fire Department is proud to present this award. This reads, presented to Terry Carter, Assistant Fire Chief, in honor of Black History Month, February 16th, 2014. Because you answered the call, you have earned your place in history.
Thank you. I don't have a long speech, and I'm almost finished. But first and foremost, thank God for just giving me the strength, the know-how, and all the ability to go through over 30 years with the department. And I remember the PSO days. I remember one of the worst fires me and Jimmy had was a New Year's Eve. I was trying to get off work. I was the rookie. I ended up being there all night. And the ironic thing about this is the fire occurred 2 doors down from the old number 4 fire station. It was freezing cold, it was ice, and me and Jimmy was on the inside. It was a long night. And I remember Chief Norris and her desserts she would make for us at fire station number 1. And I see a lot of other guys and people out that I remember from PSO. Shirley, she'd come by and have lunch with us or bring us lunch. But all that changed in '87, and it worked out for the best. Because a lot of times we get there, we like, where's our PSO? Or when they get there, do we have to dress out? And one thing after another. But it all worked out for the best. And like I said, I'm finished. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Robert Owens, Assistant Fire Chief. It's certainly my honor to present this next award to retired Battalion Chief David Peay. Chief Peay is a lifelong resident of Winston-Salem, a 1979 graduate of West Forsyth High School. He holds an associate's degree in fire science technology from Forsyth Technical Community College, and also a Bachelor of Science degree in Interdisciplinary Studies from Winston-Salem State University. Mr. Peay joined the Winston-Salem Fire Department in January 1984 as a firefighter after spending 4 years in the United States Navy. He came to the department after years of admiring some of his fire department heroes, such as Chief Lester Irving, Clarence Reynolds, and Wendell Brown, who had all been members of his church. Mr. Peay was promoted to fire engineer in November 1989, to fire captain in September 1992, and to battalion chief in December 1995. Mr. Peay retired from the fire department in 2010 after devoting over 26 years of service. He is continuing to serve as the program coordinator for fire protection and emergency management technologies at Forsyth Technical Community College. Mr. Peay shares his life with his wife, Treva Peay, and they have a son, Brandon, a daughter, Brittany, and one granddaughter, Yasley. They are members of First Baptist Church on Highland Avenue. Mr. Peay's history in firefighting includes countless numbers of fires and rescue efforts. He says that his most memorable one was a fire that claimed the life of a young girl about the same age as his own daughter. This reminded him of the importance of the job that he was doing and led him to strive even more to make sure that everyone went home safely. Mr. Peay answered the call of duty and served his community, and for this, the Winston-Salem Fire Department is proud to present this award. Mr. Peay. I'll read what the award says. Presented to David Peay, Battalion Chief, in honor of Black History Month, February 16th, 2014. Because you answered the call, we have earned your place in history. 26.54 years of service.
I'd like to thank everyone for this recognition. It's always good to be recognized for doing something well. Many of us that came along in the late 70s through the mid 80s felt as though we were the second generation of black firefighters. And we had the charge to bring someone along with us as we progressed through the ranks. And I think it's evidence here today that a lot of us did that. Again, I just want to thank you. I will be brief. Thank you, Chief.
I'd like to, at this time, to recognize any of our city officials that may be here today. If Are there any, I saw a couple early, if they're still here, to recognize, if you have anything you'd like to say? All right, our next part of the program, we get a chance to recognize some young individuals. We've heard about the retirees, we've heard about the shoulders that we've all stood on, and the history of Black contributions in Winston-Salem. Right now I'm going to introduce my good friend, Ms. Denise Scott Johnson, who's the Assistant Director of the Winston-Salem Recreation Department, to make a few presentations for our young people.
Good afternoon. We're so fortunate to be able to share in this grand occasion with the police department and the fire department. For us, celebrating Black history is a way to honor and recognize the African Americans who have done not just involvement in the fight for equality, but for the betterment of our country and our city, particularly as a whole. Established in 1976, Black History Month remains one of the most heavily observed month-long celebrations. The 4-week-long designation took place in February, and initially so to honor Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, along with other leaders whose birthday happened to be in this month. It actually was a spinoff of Negro History Week that began in 1926. It later evolved into Black History Month after the Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s. The United States has taken numerous strides. Most recently, an example of this is with the re-election of the first African American president. We are so honored to be able to host 2 different contests during this occasion. The first of our contests was a coloring contest, and participants there are kindergarten through 3rd graders divided into 2 divisions who had the opportunity to color either a picture of Joyce, Mr. Joyce, John Joyce, or Mrs. Lydia Bonner, who represented Black pioneers. The second picture, which is a new picture this year, actually showed 4 of the firemen who actually served in Engine Company 4 of the original 8 firefighters that were hired as employees of the city of Winston-Salem. We're going to recognize any of our winners that are here that were part of the coloring contest. If we have with us any of the winners, I see some young folks out here. I'm not sure if you're winners. I know Jordan Curtis is here. In addition, I'll call out the names. Kyle, is Kyle Barber? No. Bryce Baker. Jordan, if you'd be kind enough to come forward. And we've got on display, and if everyone would be so kind to try to take time to look at the work that the kids have done, and also each of the essays are on display as well. Congratulations to Jordan. At this time, we're going to move on into the essay competition. The essay competition was provided for young people, 4th graders through 12th graders, and they had the option of choosing one of 3 questions that they could write about. And the questions that they were able to select from, the first question, describe an African American today in your life or community who's making a positive impact on history, and share with us how. The second question that they had the opportunity to write about was an event in Black history that they think most influenced Americans' way of life and why. The third question, we asked them to describe the following Booker T. Washington quote and tell us what it means to them. More and more, we must learn to think not in terms of race or color or language or religion or political boundaries, but in terms of humanity. So we're going to have the 2 of our participants of the 6 winners that are here come forward and share with you their essay. If Sanaya Gabriel will come forward. She's in the 4th, 5th grade category. Is a 5th grader from Union Cross, and she participates in the after-school program at Sedge Gardens.
Don't judge people because of their race. It is not fair to them or anyone else of that race. You should only decide once you have seen how they treat others, also how they treat themselves. They don't like it when you judge them in these ways, and neither would you. But they would appreciate it if you treated them fairly. We should all work together to stop this type of judging.
We'd like to give Sanaya a big hand, and also we're presenting her gift card. And for you guys that are wondering just what we're presenting, they're $25 gift cards to be used at Target. And the generosity of police and fire. Thank you. Okay, we also have Marcia Davis, who's a participant from Haynes Hosiery.
We are all one race, the human race. The only difference is our skin color. Most of us speak the same language, even the different colored Neanderthals spoke the same languages. Today, even back in the olden days, people had the same religion. You could be different colored Jews, Christians, and Muslims. As far as the political boundaries are concerned, we must learn it's not about who is in offices. The political party is here to help us, not judge us by our race or skin color.
Thank you, Marcia. Marcia is a student at Haynes Magnet, and she's a 6th grader. We also have an individual. Yes, Marco Santo. Marco, if you'd come forward. Marco's a participant from Polo Park. He's in early college and is a 9th grader.
Good afternoon. For my essay, I wrote about the one event I feel influenced most Americans through Black history, and I wrote how that one event to me is the unfortunate, the untimely death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This was an event that so many people were shocked at, mortified, and just overall grieved for. This man who had this dream that little African American children could run with little white children, and so on and so on. He appealed to everyone, not just the African American and the white communities, but of the Hispanic communities, the Asian communities, anyone out there who felt that they were being discriminated against. He appealed. He wanted total equality. And now looking at all these firemen and these policemen, I can see that he had a dream that is coming true, as you can see African American people and white people risking their lives for each other in all these events. So that when this man was just taken from everyone, it united everyone just in sadness. Because when you're grieving, you reach out to everyone else who's grieving. And it doesn't matter if they're black, white, Chinese, or any otherwise. You grieve. And in that one day, when that man left, everyone grieved. And everyone was equal. Thank you.
Marco, if you come forward again, please. We'd like to, too, present you with the $25 gift card. Wonderful job. Thank you. All right. I'm sorry about that, Marcy. You guys got away a little quick for me. Again, on the table, we have everybody's essay. If you guys would take time to look at that and take time to chat with these young folks, because they're our future. And as Jimmy and so many others have shared, how their young start led them to what ended up being a wonderful career. Who knows what these young folks are going to end up doing years from now. The best to all of you all, and again, thank you for allowing us to be part of your celebration.
From what I heard, the generation is not lost. It is not lost. Let's give these young people another grand hand. At this time, we will have another selection by Union Baptist Church, and then closing remarks by Chief Barry D. Roundtree.
I lift my hands in total adoration unto you. You reign on the throne, for you are God and God alone. Because of you, my cloudy days are gone. I can't sing to you this song, so I just want to say that I love you more than anything. Sweet Jesus, 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 Jesus. Sweet Jesus, 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 Jesus. Whoa, whoa. How many of you know that Jesus? I love you, Jesus. Say, I love Jesus. I worship and adore. Wanna take some time to say, Lord, I love you. Lord, I love you. Oh, sweet Jesus, sweet Jesus, 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 Jesus. Sweet Jesus, 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 Jesus. One more time. Sweet Jesus, 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 We're finished.
We want to thank our elected officials, our city manager, our guests, employees, and our honorees for participating in this first annual Public Safety Black History Program. I also want to give special thanks to Councilmember Burke for all of your years of service and your contributions to the citizens of Winston-Salem and public safety. Anyone who serves that long needs another round of applause. Thank you. Also, again, I want to thank our honorees for your service to the community and the city of Winston-Salem, the fire department, and the police department. Your dedication, determination, and devotion to your profession allow you to succeed, and you serve as a beacon for others to follow. You've served your departments well, and you have left indelible marks on the history of the fire and police departments. I also want to thank the students and the parents for being here and participating in the coloring and the essay contest as we celebrate during Black History Month. I also want to thank all the employees of the police department, our fire department, Parks and Rec, and marketing and communication for helping to put this program together. Without your hard work, this program would not be possible. I also want to thank Pastor Mack and Union Baptist Church for being here. Thank you for being here and participating in this program. I also want to thank you for all that you do in the community to help shape the lives of our young people in this community. I understand that we left off one of the students. I guess we give him an opportunity to come forward at this time.
Yes, if Ms. O'Neill could come forward. All right.
Booker T. Washington was an international person whose work for his own people inspired all people of races. Booker T. Washington quoted, "More and more, we must learn to think not in terms of race or color, or language, or religion, or political boundaries, but in terms of humanity." I think this quote is very important because everyone should be treated fair and equal. This quote means that you should not judge someone because they look different than you. We should respect people who speak different languages. If someone dresses or acts differently because of their religion, that does not mean you have to be disrespectful to them. People should not also be judged on political boundaries, like who you want to vote for. Humanity means you treat people nice. I have all kinds of friends. I have white friends, black friends, and Hispanic friends. All people should be treated with respect, even though we are different.
Great job. She's one of our youngest participants, a fourth grader at Spees that attends the after-school program at Polo Park. Thanks a lot.
Okay, I also understand Tad Byram is one of the new assistant fire chiefs. I want to recognize him as well. At this time, this will conclude our program. Again, I want to thank you for coming out. Also, take time to greet someone on your way out and also partake in the refreshments that we have right out the door here. Thank you for coming.